Do you ever look at your pets when they do something weird, or even when they're just like minding their own business and think to yourself, I wonder what they're thinking? F.I.S.T, Forged in Shadow Torch kinda helps you understand this. It's a game where you play as a cute rabbit, but one that also wields a huge mechanical arm to beat his enemies with. But does this quirky setup deliver more than just a unique protagonist? Let's dive into the game's graphics, story, gameplay, and overall experience to find out. Okay, first off, let's talk about the visuals. F.I.S.T looks great, especially considering it was initially developed for PS5. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's not exactly a PC, so. My rig with an RTX 4070 Super, the game runs smoothly at 2K max settings. The cinematics are impressive. You can almost see each individual fur strand on the characters, which is really impressive. During gameplay, the side-scrolling nature means less focus on character details, but the settings and backgrounds are captivating. The lighting effects and atmospheric details add a lot to the experience, making the world feel alive. Performance-wise, there were a few frame drops during transitions between rooms, but nothing that affected combat or the overall enjoyment. Next, I'm going to talk about the narrative. So, the story in F.I.S.T draws from familiar Metroidvania themes, offering a mix of straightforward storytelling and engaging character arcs. In this game, you step into the shoes of Rayton, a former soldier wielding a giant mechanical arm, on a mission to rescue his friends and overthrow the oppressive Legion. This setup is reminiscent of classic Metroidvania titles like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, where a lone hero confronts powerful adversaries to restore peace. However, unlike Castlevania's gothic and somber atmosphere, F.I.S.T injects a more lighthearted tone, utilizing anthropomorphic characters and a unique steampunk setting, which gives it a modern animated action series vibe. And this is interesting because while F.I.S.T provides a clear and focused storyline, it doesn't really delve into the deep lore and environmental storytelling seen in games like Hollow Knight. In Hollow Knight, players are left to piece together the story through exploration and discovery, which creates this rich, mysterious world. F.I.S.T, on the other hand, really opts for a more direct approach, clearly laying out the characters' motivations and goals. This makes the game more accessible to players who prefer a straightforward narrative, but it may lack the subtlety and depth that fans of more lore-heavy games might enjoy. You still here? Okay, that must mean that you're really digging this deep dive into F.I.S.T. If so, why not give this video a like? And if you want to keep up with more reviews and gaming antics, subscribe and hit that bell icon. I promise to try my best to make future videos more thrilling than finding a secret area in a Metroidvania. How do I come up with this stuff? Seriously. Okay, let's move on to gameplay and combat now. So in F.I.S.T, the combat mechanics stand out with the variety of weapons and abilities. This includes the mechanical arm, the drill, and the whip. This diversity really allows different ways of being able to engage with the enemies, which is really cool. However, the combat system isn't exactly without its quirks and flaws, especially when you compare it to more polished Metroidvania titles like Hollow Knight and the Ori games. These games are renowned for their precise and responsive combat, where every move feels really deliberate and controlled, which will allow for really intricate combat strategies and smooth gameplay flow. In F.I.S.T, one particular ability, which is when you hold down the X button and then you release it, it can act almost like a cheat mode. This allowed me to defeat around 90% of enemies with minimal effort, and this is excluding bosses, obviously. It's an overpowered move that can overshadow other combat mechanics and strategies. It reduces the need for me to explore the full range of abilities that the game has to offer. This stands in contrast to games like Castlevania, I'm specifically talking about Symphony of the Night, and also games like Dead Cells, where the challenge and enjoyment come from mastering a wide array of skills and adapting to different enemies and situations. The combat in F.I.S.T sometimes can feel clunky and inconsistent, especially when you're trying to execute more complex combos. This can be frustrating for players that are used to the fluid and seamless combat of games like Axiom Verge or even Blasphemous, where precision and timing are really crucial and every action feels meaningful. In Fist, the reliance on the X button ability can really make the combat feels less engaging because you just find yourself using the same tactic repeatedly instead of experimenting with different weapons and strategies. Metroid Dread provides another excellent example of really tight combat mechanics where players must constantly adapt their strategies and use a variety of abilities to overcome diverse and challenging enemies. Again, in comparison, Fist's over-reliance on a single powerful move can make combat encounter feel less dynamic and rewarding. The game's combat system, while offering potential for depth, ultimately falls short in execution, making some encounters feel repetitive rather than engaging. And finally, I just want to say that if you're looking for a game that offers a more polished combat and gameplay experience, I highly recommend playing The Rogue Prince of Persia. I made a video on this a couple of months ago actually. If you want to find out what it's about, I'll put a link to it down in the description. Watch the video, and if, again, that's what you're looking for, I highly recommend you go and play that game. Okay, next we're going to talk about the Steam Deck performance. So for those people playing on the Steam Deck, F.I.S.T runs smoothly and is verified, so it's going to work right out of the box, especially if you've bought the game from Steam. But if you've got the game from Epic Game Store, or if you got it during a free giveaway, which is the case for me, you're going to need to use the Heroic Games launcher or non-Steam launcher to get it running. If you're not sure how to do this, I've already made video guides on how to do it. I'm going to put the links to those videos in the description under the like and subscribe button, so you'll know where to find it if that's what you need. Next, we're going to talk about how the game has been reviewed. To be honest, I'm not surprised with what I've seen so far because most reviewers have been very positive about it. So it's currently sitting on the strong rating on OpenCritic with an average of 80 from top critics and 81% of critics recommending the game. On Metacritic, it has the generally favorable rating with a score of 80. Users, however, are a little bit harsher by giving it the average of 7.5 rating based on 155 user ratings, but it's still holding its generally favorable rating. On Steam, it's sitting on a very positive rating based on almost 5,500 reviews, which is a very strong rating in my opinion. One Steam user who recommends the game said, quote, "Excellent Metroidvania that goes heavy on the visuals. The beautiful scenery often had me forgetting that I would never be able to explore the amazing background areas and that I was confined to my 2D space." End quote. Adrian Burrows from the Sixth Axis rated the game a respectable 7 out of 10 and said, quote, "Unfortunately, I can't overlook the technical issues that plague proceedings. If Thai games sort out the problems with a rapid patch, then this would be a game that's much easier to recommend." End quote. Scott McRae from Nintendo Life gives the game a more level-headed 6 out of 10 rating and said, quote, "Although we may sound quite negative when discussing the game, F.I.S.T really is worth playing. It just has so much potential that it doesn't quite reach. It rides on the cusp of greatness so often while not quite making it over the hurdle." End quote. And finally, Blake Grunman from PlayStation Lifestyle rated the game 8.5 out of 10 and said, quote, "Featuring mildly interesting characters, a world teeming with life, and a well-designed map that is very player-friendly, it genuinely feels like it does damn near everything right. As long as you don't mind an occasional table flip encounter here and there, this is a hair-raising adventure for the ages." End quote. Alright, let's wrap it up. So, as we finish the video, I'm just going to say that F.I.S.T really offers a visually stunning and engaging Metroidvania experience with solid combat mechanics and a simple yet enjoyable narrative. It has its flaws, particularly when it comes to combat responsiveness and a somewhat predictable story, but the game still excels in creating a captivating world and delivering satisfying gameplay. I honestly think that it's a great addition to the genre, especially for those people who enjoy exploration and combat-focused games. Now, for a more in-depth review and some additional insights, you can check out my full written review on Patreon. It is and will always be free, no paywall whatsoever. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.